You are 23. You have $847 in your account and 3 weeks until rent. Not in a savings account, not invested, just sitting in a current account, quietly, while you try not to think about it. You are not poor. You are not rich. You are somewhere in the middle of a sentence about your financial life that has not finished yet. You do not know what the rest of that sentence sounds like. You are not sure you want to. This is the story of what happens, and that sentence keeps going all the way to the end.
There is no dramatic moment when wealth begins. No lottery ticket, no inheritance letter, no single conversation that changes everything overnight. Wealth begins as a direction, quiet, almost invisible direction. And the difference between the person who ends up with $847 at 50 and the person who ends up with $100 million is not intelligence. Most high earners never build significant wealth. It is not luck. Most people who receive sudden money lose it within a decade. It is not even income. The research on this is consistent and humbling. The difference is what they did with small amounts of money during unremarkable months when no one was watching and there was no immediate reward for discipline. Let us watch exactly what that looks like, level by level.
Level 1, 0, 5,000. Your bank account is a source of low-level dread you carry everywhere, in the way you carry a low-grade headache. Not debilitating, just always there. You check your balance before you order food at a restaurant, not after, before, so you can decide whether to order what you want or what you can justify. You do the quiet arithmetic before you say yes to a weekend away, before you agree to a birthday dinner, before you answer when someone asks if you are free next Saturday. The anxiety is not dramatic. That is what makes it so persistent. There is no crisis to resolve, no moment of reckoning that forces a change, just the hum, just the background calculation that runs underneath every decision you make. You have $847. It feels like nothing. And in one sense, it is almost nothing. It would not cover a month's rent in most cities. But here is the thing about $847 that nobody says out loud. It is the number that exists before the decision. And the decision, the one about whether to spend it, protect it, or grow it, is the only thing that actually matters about it. The 847 is not the problem. The 847 is the starting line.
Level 2, 5,000 to 20,000. For the first time, you have a buffer, a small one, but structurally real, in a way that changes things you cannot fully explain yet. You stop checking your account every morning. The hum gets quieter. It will be years before it is fully silent, but quieter in the way a room gets quieter when the loudest person leaves. You have $12,000 in a savings account, earning almost nothing in interest. The rate is embarrassing. You do not care, because the number is not doing financial work. It is doing psychological work. Having it there changes how you walk into a job negotiation. Not silent. It changes how you respond when something at work makes you angry. It changes the specific weight of a Monday morning. Financial security does not begin when you are rich. It begins when you are no longer one bad month away from a problem you cannot solve. You are not wealthy, but you are, for the first time, stable. And stability, the ability to absorb disruption without catastrophe, is the foundation that every level above this one is built on. Most people never build it.
Level 3, 20,000 to 75,000. The conversation in your head about money shifts. It is subtle at first, then unmistakable. Before, the question was always, can I afford this? Now a second question appears alongside it. Should I put this somewhere instead? The two questions are in conversation now. That conversation is the beginning of something important. You open an investment account. The process is anticlimactic. A form, a bank transfer, a confirmation email. You put $200 a month into a broad index fund. You feel slightly ridiculous doing it because $200 a month feels small. And the people around you are spending money on things that feel much more satisfying to spend money on. Your colleague just leased a new car.
Your university friend just redecorated her apartment. Your brother just booked a holiday that would cost you 2 months of contributions to cancel. You do not cancel. You invest. And then you do something that will matter more than the money itself. You stop talking about it. Not from secrecy, from understanding. The people around you are not building anything in silence. The silence is information, and you have just started to read it.
4. 75,000 to 250,000. Money starts to move without you. It's the sentence that changes everything. It arrives so quietly, you almost miss it. Like your investment account on a Saturday morning, half asleep. Coffee you made at home because you stopped buying them out 2 years ago. Portfolio, $4,200 last month. Worked 21 days in that month. Roughly 160 hours in meetings, on calls, on tasks. Slow daily machinery of earning. Money? $4,200. Any of that. Number is not large enough to retire on. Is large enough to understand something that cannot be understood till you feel it. Not income. Income. You earn. Wealth earns on your behalf. You are completely different things.
And most people spend their entire lives pursuing the first one, never building enough of the second to make it matter. You are not wealthy yet. You have crossed a threshold. For the first time, your money is working at a speed that competes with your effort. Competition will only get more unequal in one direction from here.
Level 5, 250,000 to 1 million. Your relationship with risk changes completely, and the change is structural, not psychological. It is not that you become braver. It is that bravery becomes less necessary because the consequences of failure are less total. Before, you could not afford to leave a job that was damaging you because the gap in income would break something that could not be repaired quickly. Now, you can. Before, starting something of your own felt like standing at the edge of a cliff. Now, it feels like stepping off a platform with a rope you know will hold. You take a role that pays less, but gives you ownership in something that could be worth far more. You turn down a client who treats you badly, something you would have tolerated 2 years ago because the money felt necessary. You begin a project on the side, not from desperation, but from genuine interest. And for the first time, the project does not have to work immediately.
Because it does not need to. Freedom, most people discover, is not a feeling. It's not something you achieve by changing your mindset. It's a structural condition, produced by having enough capital behind you. Your decisions stop being driven entirely by immediate financial necessity. You are almost there. The closer you get, the more clearly you can see that what you were building is never really the number. You were building the distance between yourself, a version of your life where every decision gets made under financial pressure.
Level 6, 1 million, 5 million. Cross 1 million on a Tuesday. You're in the middle of a work call when you notice it. Do not say anything. Finish the call, make a coffee, stand at the window of your apartment, wait for something to arrive, feeling proportionate to the number. Internal ceremony that marks the moment does not arrive. The outside looks exactly the same. The supermarket will charge the same for bread tomorrow. Morning will start the same way. Work will still be there. Calls will still need to be made. Something has changed. Quietly, structurally, permanently. You have crossed the threshold where if you never earned another euro from your labor, you could live, modestly, carefully. Live without your salary, without your next contract, without needing to perform financial survival every single month. Most people spend their entire lives 1 or 2 bad decisions away from genuine financial crisis, job loss, medical event, market downturn. Threat is always present, always proximate, always shaping every decision they make under the surface. Level 7, 5 million to 20 million. The problems that money solves are almost completely solved. The anxiety of not having enough has been replaced by something quieter and harder to name, a kind of vigilance, a new set of concerns that arrive without anyone warning you they were coming. People want things from you now, not maliciously, not consciously most of the time, but with a weight that was not there before. A friend who mentions a business idea twice in one conversation. A family member who brings up a financial problem in a way that is not quite a request, but is not quite not one either. A stranger at a dinner party who seems slightly more interested in you than the conversation warrants. You begin to pay attention to who calls when things are going well versus who calls when things are hard. You begin to notice, with a clarity that is both useful and sad, that some of the relationships you valued most were partly structured around a financial imbalance that no longer exists. The discipline that built the money was legible. Work more, spend less, invest consistently, stay patient. These were instructions you could follow. The discipline required to remain fully yourself once the money exists is harder to articulate and almost impossible to find guidance on. You will spend years figuring it out. Some of that figuring will cost you things that mattered. 8. 80 million to 100 million. You are no longer building. For what you are doing now, managing. Managing is a different activity in every way that matters. Building has urgency. Building has a direction you chose. Building is the sustained application of effort towards something that does not yet exist. Managing, sustained application of attention to something that already exists, must be protected from the 100 quiet ways it could erode. You sit in quarterly meetings with advisors who manage allocations across real estate, private equity, and fixed income. Language in these meetings is precise and technical, almost entirely disconnected from any lived experience of money. Nobody in the room checks their account balance with anxiety. Nobody in the room thinks about whether they can afford something. The question in this room is always and only, how do we make sure this continues? Think about your children more than you think about returns. Not because returns do not matter, because you have begun to understand, at a level that is impossible to reach before you are here, what you are building is not a portfolio, context, a set of circumstances your children will be born into, floor they will stand on before they know the floor is there. The question at this level is no longer how do I make more? It is, what is all of this actually for? What does it mean? What does it ask of me? What does it cost? In ways that do not appear on a statement. And that question, stripped of everything that is specific to this level, is the same question you were sitting with when you had $847 in your account and 3 weeks until rent. The number changed. Question did not. Here is the trap. Not a secret, not a piece of obscure financial knowledge, not something you need a professional to explain. Just the single most common reason people stay between level 2 and level 3 for decades and never understand why. They believe that more income is the answer. They believe that the problem is the salary, that if they could just earn enough, the gap would close, the anxiety would lift, the account would finally look the way it is supposed to look. So they work harder, they chase the promotion, they take on extra projects, they negotiate the raise. And when the raise arrives, something remarkable happens. The lifestyle expands to receive it. A better apartment, because they have finally earned the right to live somewhere they like a better car, because the old one was fine, but this one is not unreasonable at their new income level. Better holidays, better restaurants, better versions of things they already had. Raise is absorbed completely, often within 3 months of its arrival. The gap between what they earn and what they spend change. It's not anxiety does not change. The account does not look different. 6 months later, they begin quietly to think about the next raise. Cycle has no natural endpoint. There is no income level at which it stops on its own. People earning $300,000 a year report the same financial anxiety as people earning $80,000 a year. They have built a life that requires $300,000 to sustain, and that life is just as fragile as the one that required $80,000. The people who escape this trap
Those who reach level 5, level 6, and beyond are almost never the highest earners in their social circle. They are the people who made one decision that everyone around them found slightly strange. When the income grew, let the lifestyle stay, kept the gap open. The gap, over time, came the wealth.
Every level in this video came with a number. You already understand, if you have been paying attention. Numbers were never really the subject. Subject was the feeling that lived underneath the numbers. Anxiety of level 1 that follows you into restaurants and social plans and job negotiations. Quiet shift of level 3. Second question appears in your head alongside the first. Strange emptiness of crossing 1 million on a Tuesday, waiting for a feeling that does not arrive. Vigilance of level 7. To read who is calling and why. He does not resolve these things. He moves the most immediate version of them. Reveals the next version underneath. Find at each level is the piece you were imagining from the level below. Find a new set of questions. The form of the same essential challenge. Who are you? What do you want? What are you willing to protect? The work of building wealth is real. It requires real discipline and real patience, real sacrifice.
That are invisible to everyone around you. But it is easier work than the work that comes after. The work of deciding what the wealth means and what it does not excuse and who you are going to be inside it. Somewhere right now, someone is 23 with $847 in a current account and 3 weeks until rent, and a low-level hum of anxiety that has been there so long it feels like background noise. They do not know yet that the most important financial decision they will ever make is not an investment choice, not a career move, not a single brilliant decision that changes the trajectory. It is a quiet, daily, unglamorous decision to keep the gap open, to let some distance exist between what comes in and what goes out, and to resist, month after month, perfectly reasonable arguments for closing it. The number was never the point. The direction always was.
Curious about how much wealth different professions can build? Subscribe now and join us as we explore the income, lifestyle, and net worth behind the world's most fascinating careers.